Hello, I'm Rain Shan on behalf of Women's Sport Press. Should anyone have ever lived in Muslim countries even for at least as 1 week? If yes, they have to know well that Islam rule doesn't allow men and women to swim together in public swimming pools. However, it is not going to end here for some more strict countries like Afghanistan, Yemen, and Iran, whose Islamic rule even leave no space for interested women to try swimming as an athlete and take part in international events. Could you just only imagine yourself as one who has been living in those countries a swim enthusiast or a national swimmer? How could you follow your dreams and how would you defy? Would you dare to act as Iranian movie first role Orca to set the Guinness World Record in endurance swimming with both your hands and feet tied? Not so intense, but some similar obstacles to women swimming exist in other Muslim countries in Africa and the Middle East. I am more than sure that nothing would be better than listening to the words stemmed from the lived experience of someone who raised in a Muslim-dominated culture, not being given up on the way of her dreams in swim and becoming a Palestinian American swimmer and a flag bearer representing Palestine at the 2024 Olympics. One of the luckiest Palestinians in the world for having the chance to compete and the voice of a voiceless, war-torn people, she stated in a post-Olympic press conference. It goes without saying that you know who I'm talking about, so I'm thrilled to state that Valerie Tarazi has joined us to share her whole journey from start to becoming a respectable world swimmer despite all the cultural and social hurdles. Let's listen to our today's talk, leading by Mostafa, Sarabzadeh, and Valerie.
Hi, Valerie. Thank you so much again for joining our program, which is something I was all cherishing the thought to be joining. I'm Mostafa Sarabzadeh, as you know, founder of Women's Sport Plus. With all the pressure I took, I'm here today to talk about your wonderful and amazing jobs in your life at the social level and the professional sport in the Olympic level. So, how are you? And I know you come from a back-to-back international events with the super much busy worlds. So, how are you? And what's your new uh, updates with all this?
Yeah, honestly, it's been crazy. It's been such a journey. I think since the beginning of the year, I've been home in Auburn, Alabama for. Sorry, there's a car passing. I've been home at Auburn,
Yeah, that's
Alabama
okay.
for less than a month. So it's been quite crazy just traveling, getting to do some really cool things. I just got back from a 5 week long trip where I was in the Philippines. I hosted a gender equity seminar in Brunei.
Oh,
I met some people in Malaysia, and then I swam a competition and hosted some swim camps in Dubai. Then I flew straight back to the US, was in Fort Lauderdale for a 3 day competition, and then drove down to Miami, just had a meeting with Pan Am Sports yesterday, And now I landed at 2 in the morning, and I'm back in Auburn, Alabama for the next 3 days, and I actually leave for Kuwait next week.
Mm. So it was lots of trips with maybe lots of reaping medals, right?
I did win 3 gold medals and a silver at the meet in Dubai, so that was really cool.
So please accept my sincerest congratulations on all of
Thank
this.
you.
So as we are getting through our main job today, first thing I wanted to share with the world, how was the experience uh, of the Paris Olympic as a whole?
It's kind of crazy. Leading up to the Olympics, I got to achieve my personal dream, of course. And then everything going on in Palestine,
Yeah.
it's a huge responsibility to speak about Palestine and be someone that everyone listens to. For some reason, people see athletes as normal people, not just a number. And when I got a voice, it was a lot of pressure. And looking back on it, I'm really grateful for the experience. I think that's the best word to describe everything is grateful because one, like I said, I got to achieve my personal dreams, but I got to tell everyone firsthand what was happening in Palestine, my experiences, my friends' experiences, so on. Um, but I would say I answer this question a little differently now that I'm almost, I think I just hit 9 months removed from the Olympics, which is crazy. 9 months. Um, Especially when you train your entire life, it feels like, I don't know, I was in such a weird place for about 6 months after the Olympics. Like, what now, right? But
Yeah.
it was an extremely, extremely stressful time. Um, Looking back and looking at pictures and looking at like mini vlogs I made, I was like, how did I function? Like, I don't remember half of the stuff that happened to me, or half the things I did, and it's kind of like very surreal to look back and think about all the amazing things that has come since then. But like I said, just being there, being able to raise the flag, especially at this time, at this point in um, history, is the biggest honor I could ever ask for.
That's really important to have such a broad and wonderful view as an athlete who is competing at the Olympic level. So thank you for all of these wonderful positive points you're going to live in the world of sport. Let's come to perspective of performance level. How was it in your views, and how much you were happy?
Yeah. So post Olympics, the only thing that people needed to see is that I competed, right? So you see the pictures, you've seen the TikToks, the reels everyone made of me smiling after the race and pointing to my flag, and all the great things. What people don't know is how mad I was. And I mean,
Oh,
that swim that I did performance wise was absolutely horrible. Like it from a very personal level, like it wasn't good. Um
sorry, compared
I
to
dropped
your own records, your previous
well,
records.
okay. No, so I did go a personal best time. I dropped 1/100th of a second. So the cool part about that is when you read headlines, fastest Arab in history, new
Yeah,
Palestinian national record, great, by 1/100th of a second, and which is
uh,
great. Don't get me wrong. I'm so proud, and to be the fastest Arab in history in that event is no,
yeah,
you know,
absolutely right.
short accomplishment. But I trained realistically to go 2 to 4 seconds faster than that. It was a very like not put together swim. I raced it kind of dumb. Um, and the thing that other people don't realize is I actually almost missed my race. Completely almost missed my race. I was running. I've been doing the same warm-up since I was 14 years old. I know how long it takes to put my swimsuit on. The problem was I was running like, I don't know, maybe like 5-10 minutes behind schedule. Nothing like crazy. But I was kind of like maybe a little rushed.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, shoot, like, you know, I gotta go. I gotta put my suit on. And my coach was like, oh, yeah, go. So I was putting my suit on, and I ripped it. I ripped my swimsuit. And I was like, oh, my gosh. And I already had swimsuit issues. Basically, I had the wrong swimsuit and the wrong size and the wrong brand. My coach, when he flew to Paris, he's like, don't worry, I'll bring you another suit. We're good. So I had this suit on that he brought me, and I put it on, and it ripped. And I was like, oh, no. And this is a $500-$600 swimsuit. Then I, like, called him, and I'm, like, in the locker room, like, I need you to bring me another suit. And he's like, I'll be outside the locker room. Just have someone run the suit back and forth. So I ended up having, who was the gold medalist in the event, keep that in mind. I was like, can you please go run the suit? And she's like, yeah, no problem. So I switched the suit. Well, it's the suit that's the wrong brand, the wrong size. So I'm putting the suit on again, and these suits take normally 10 to 15 minutes to get on because they're so tight and they don't stretch. And, you know, you're sweating, so you're, like, trying to, like, put the suit on. It doesn't move. And anyways, I ripped this suit, and I was like, oh, my gosh, no, the second suit. So I'm, like, putting it on, and I was like, well, I have to put a suit on. This is the only other one I have.
Yeah.
And it rips. And I was like, oh, my gosh. Well, I'm still, like, trying to put the suit on. It rips again. And I was like, oh, my gosh. Well, something has to go on, right? Like, there has to be a competition suit. So I'm pulling it up. And this suit rips to shreds to the point where I take the suit and I just rip it off.
Oh.
Like, it was unwearable. Like, this thing was in shreds. So I rip it off. I'm, like, looking at my watch, and I have 10 minutes till I race in the Olympics, like, in the pool.
Yeah.
So I grab my other suit, which is ripped, and I somehow get the suit on, and all these girls are looking at me in the locker room. They're like, there's no way this girl's making her race. Like, no way. And anyways, so I get the suit on. I have a rip. You can actually see it. It's from here to here in the swimsuit. It's huge. And once the swimsuit rips, it continues to rip. Like, once it's on, like, it doesn't just hold and, like, oh, you have a hole. Like, no, it continues to go.
Yeah.
So anyways,
it's gonna get
my
worse.
Coach is standing outside the locker room, like, ready to hold up the entire competition. And he's like, he has my swim cap and goggles, and he gives them to me, and I'm like running to the ready room. And you sit there, and what you have to do is you go through, they check your swim cap, they check your goggles, and then they check your swimsuit to make sure it has a sticker on it, like the right one. And my swimsuit was fine. And they're like, that's the wrong swim cap. And I'm like, someone, because it didn't have the right logos on it in the right sizes. And I was like, someone give me a swim cap. I'm racing now. Like, I'm the next race. I'm like, someone give me a swim cap. And everyone's like looking at me. I'm like, give me a swim cap. So they're like, we only have one extra that is I'm like, I need that cap. So I grab the cap and I throw it on, and I put my goggles on, and I like run to the front of the ready room because you sit in rows, and I'm sitting there in the last heat of men walk out, and I'm the first heat of women. And I was sitting there, and I was sitting like this for like, I probably got 10 seconds to sit down and just like close my eyes. I was like, all right, well, here we go. Yeah. Like, I'm racing at the Olympics. And I walked out, and I just took my, like, 3 deep breaths, and I knew what to do. Like, I knew how to swim the race. I trained it. I put in all the work. I didn't think about the race. I wasn't worried about that. I was happy I made it. And I remember I looked at my coach, like, I was at the start end of the pool, and he was all the way like down at the other end of the pool.
Yeah.
And I looked at him, and for some reason, I can hear my coach out of a whole stadium. Like, I know exactly where he is. I saw him. He gave me a smile, and I was like, all right, here we go. Time to race at the
Yeah, I keep
Olympics.
it up.
And the crazy part is, so when you get done racing, you get out of the pool and they like parade you around. So you have to walk up the biggest flight of stairs you've ever seen. So you walk up this flight of stairs and then you wind through all the media, like wind through all of it. And I didn't see my coach for a good like 10, 15 minutes, and he was waiting for me, and I gave him a big hug. The other swimmers were there, and he's like, how do you feel? I was like, I can't believe I made it. And he goes, I cannot believe you made your race.
I cannot believe
So,
either.
yeah, and then he's like, was that a best time for you? I was like, I don't think so. There's no way. And he's like, no, I think it was. And we looked it up, and he's like, yeah, it was. I was like, whoo, new national record. And we were joking, and he knew. I was like, that was a horrible race. And he was like, yeah, that wasn't good. And you're kind of laughing because in the moment, no one cares. Because
Yeah,
at the
I
end of the
agree.
day, if you don't win an Olympic medal or you're not in an Olympic final, no one cares. In the best way. They care you compete, but you could get 9th place, you could get 50th place, and it's all the same thing. I almost guarantee you, I always ask people when they ask me, they're like, oh, like, how did you do? And I was like, oh, I did pretty well. I'm like, what place do you think I got? And I always like to ask because no one knows. Because in the grand scheme of things in the Olympic movement, your place doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. And it's the coolest feeling in the world is like just being there is an
Yeah,
accomplishment in itself. Yeah.
yeah. It was one of the most stressful um, events I ever heard of someone. So it was like a kind of a big paradox for you who are not happy with the results, but the post-match reactions for the whatever you've done for the Palestinian at the psycho-social and political level was, very different of feeling you're getting, and that's, a kind of a big paradox to digest. You have people who are happy about your performances, but at the same time you have your kind of negative sensations about all those things happen to you. So thank you, Valerie, for uh, your wonderful and detailing answer.
Okay.
So Valerie, let's back to your childhood. uh, that's always a major part of any athlete. Your childhood I guess has been in Illinois,
Yes.
Chicago is where he was born and uh, raised. So let's just start this part with how it was like being a child in your family, parents, and the culture you was born and raised in Chicago.
Yeah. I say I live a very typical American life. I always grew up knowing I was Palestinian, but I say that was the extent of it because my father, um, it's my dad's dad who was born and raised in Gaza.
Hmm.
He
Your
passed away when I
grandfather.
was a year old. Yeah, he passed away when I was a year old. So I never knew him.
Hmm.
And people, you know how it's like the icebreaker activity, like get to know people, and it's just fun questions like who do you want if you could have one person to have a meal with, like who would you want to sit down and talk to? That's who I would want to
Yes.
sit down and talk to, my grandfather. Like I just want to know everything. I have so many questions.
Mm.
Um but I live a very, like, I say typical American life because I didn't have the struggles of growing up in Palestine. I didn't have the struggles
Mm.
of um that many Palestinians face around the world. Um,
Yeah, I understand.
and to to like the to the naked eye, if someone looks at me, they're not going to be like, "Oh my gosh, she's Palestinian." So I say my life was easy, and it was. Of course, I had challenges like every other person, but it was it was typical. I played a bunch of sports. My family is so close. I mean, even I'm 25, my brother's 29. We still go on family vacations in the summer. You know, we still
Mm.
all meet up. It's a very close knit family. Um, but yeah, I grew up and my brother played sports and I played sports and my parents just let us fall in love very naturally.
Mm. So your closeness to your parents kind of resemble a Palestinian or Middle Eastern life. So uh, that was great. How about your parents, Valerie? Were they athletes or even interested to get in sports? How much they were supportive uh, from the earlier years of your childhood?
Uh, I mean, I say no. My dad was he played football, like American football and baseball
Hmm.
growing up. My mom, she was a cheerleader. Like nothing, it's not like they were like super into sports. They didn't play sports at university. Um, but my brother and I were always putting sports as something fun to do, right? And we
Hmm.
love to play sports. I mean, I say I did every sport under the sun. I mean, I played hockey, ice hockey, baseball, tennis, swimming, cheerleading, figure skating, track and field. Um,
Oh,
at any given time, I was in like 3 to 5
that is a
sports. Like
sea of
really,
sports.
yeah, I did a lot. And I stayed competitive with sports. Um, I was a three sport state champion. I did ice hockey, softball, and swimming. And then I was all state in track and field. So up until I was 14, I was on the number two softball team in the country.
Sorry, what discipline of track and field?
I threw discus. I did shot put and discus, so I was a thrower.
Mm,
I'm not super,
throw.
I'm not super
Yeah.
fast, but I can throw things.
But
And we joke
when it
about.
comes to swimming, you're still fast in swimming, and you're a king of short distances in swimming, and you're a champion of short distances. Yeah, so uh, it's
Yeah,
all about the
um,
strength and the speed.
yeah, for sure. And I always say people are like, "What separates you from, an average swimmer?" Um, well, one, there are a lot of things. Since I was 12 years old, I've been doing training twice a day. I've been training a ridiculous amount, but never to the point where I didn't want to do it. It was always my own will to compete, to train. Um, yes, of course, there are the days you don't want to do it, and my parents and support system were there to help me.
Mm,
But growing up, like doing other sports always helped me because at the end of the day, sometimes you just have to be an athlete. So
yeah.
softball was my way of keeping my mind off of swimming. It was so fun for me. I got to be with my
Mm,
friends, I got to talk, and I like to
yeah.
play. Um when I was 14, that's kind of when I stopped softball going into high school because I wanted to be a super elite swimmer. And 14, 15, and 16, I missed I think one practice in those 3 years. it was ridiculous. Like I was so locked in, so ready to train everything. Um, then I started to get burnt out a little bit, and my dad saw that, and he was like, you know what, like, why don't you just do track and field? He's like, just
Yeah.
do it for a little bit, like 3 months out of the year. Compete for your high school, be with your friends, and it's gonna help you swim. I was like, okay. And he's like, just throw the heavy ball far. And people always laugh at that, but at the end of the day, isn't that what the sport is? Like, you take a heavy object and you throw it far. Swimming, you want to get from one end of the pool to the other end as fast as you can and beat the people next to you. And I think everyone overcomplicates what sports is. You just have to
Yeah.
grow up and simplify it. And even now, I travel all over the world. I'm gone so much. My coach
Mhm.
is based here in Auburn, Alabama. I text him almost every single day. He sends me my workout. I text him how it is. I send him my Whoop data. Um, and he knows that if I'm out of the water and I can't find a pool, we have a theory. Be an athlete. Go do something. Go run.
Mm.
If you're last summer before the Olympics, I was at the International Olympic Academy for 2 weeks and I had very limited pool access. I was running track workouts. I was doing yoga. I was playing volleyball. I was playing
Yeah.
basketball. I was playing tennis. We did it all. But he's like, whatever you do it as an elite athlete. Like,
Yeah.
you are
I
an elite
understand.
athlete, play hard. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to play hard. And that's what I did. And that's our theory on everything we do is just be an athlete, be explosive, and
Hmm.
just love to play
That's very
sport, love to
important.
do what you do. Yeah. And that's kind of my theory on sports and life, and yeah.
The good thing, Valerie, in your background is that you experience kind of similar sports with a similar movement patterns to swimming, like throwing and volleyball. There has to be a lot going on with shoulders strength, which is something I guess could be a key factor in elite swimmer. So please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, swimming uses every muscle in your body.
Hmm.
So any movement that you do to strengthen muscles that, are, I say, less used in swimming or more used in swimming is good. Being active is always a good thing. No matter how you move, like we really focus the season on getting me to jump. And it sounds dumb, but having an explosive um
Power.
yeah, just having explosive power reaction makes a huge difference, especially in the events that I've transitioned to. I'm kind of sprinting a little bit more. It's important to be able to jump. And that's a
Yeah,
land activity, but in the pool it translates very well.
that actually is right. Swimming is more relying on explosive powers, whether it's shoulder muscles or your uh, hamstrings or the lower parts muscles. It's all about the uh, having the power in the shortest time and bringing out your power in the shortest time possible as your kind of sprinter and our king in shorter distances. So, have you ever visited Palestine over the course of your life? So, when and how was it like?
Yeah, so I've been there twice. My life-changing event is when I won 2 gold, 3 silver, and a bronze medal at the Arab Championships. Hold on one second.
It was 2023.
Yeah. Oh, I think I might have lost you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I have you
Okay.
on.
Yeah. So 2023, it was June 2023, so it's been almost 2 years. When I won all those medals, I brought a lot of attention to Palestine. And it was really cool because after I won, they're like, well, you have to come to Palestine. And I kind of like laughed a little bit because as a US citizen, you kind of grow up like there's no way you could go to Palestine. Like it's an
Mm,
active war zone, it's not safe, like all of everything that you hear, like you cannot go. And they're like, you have to come to Palestine. I was like, I can't go to Palestine. Like, what do you mean you can't go to Palestine? Like, you represent the country. And I kind of like didn't quite understand what they were saying. And they're like, no, no, no. We're going to fly you and your family in. You're going to come to Palestine. I was there for 2 weeks and I did everything. I was in Jerusalem for a week. I got to go to Bethlehem. I was in Nazareth. I was in Ramallah for most of the time, but I got to meet with the Olympic Committee. I got to reconnect with a bunch of family. I say Palestine is like the most special place on earth. I've been to, I think, 58 countries at this point in my life, and Palestine is
mm.
my favorite country in the whole world. It feels so right being there. It truly feels at home. Um,
Oh, how wonderful.
it's it's so special. It's like there's no way to describe it. And I talk to other Palestinians and they say they get the same feeling. When they go back to Palestine, it just feels right. There's no words to describe it, and if you're not Palestinian, you don't quite get it. But just being able to go home is like the best feeling ever. Um, but the second time I went back to Palestine was crazy. I was actually in training camp in one of the
Yeah.
suburbs of Paris. So this was right before the Olympics. They I was in training camp and I get a call from our Olympic Committee president and he goes, "Listen, Val, I need you to fly into Palestine and you need to be in Ramallah for like a day and a half. You're going to shoot a swimming documentary and then I need you to give a speech on behalf of the Palestinian athletes." And at the time,
Yes.
all of the Palestinian athletes were in training camp. So there's no one in Palestine training right before the Olympics. So I was like, okay, I'm like, it's not ideal because I need to be in the pool. Like, don't worry, like, it's a day and a half. We're gonna fly you in, fly you out,
Mm.
give the speech. So I flew into Ramallah, and I was there 36 hours. I flew in, I gave a speech. The speech went viral because it was less than a week out from opening. And part of the swimming documentary that I got to film, I was actually walking through the old part of Ramallah and just seeing everything and just like experiencing the culture. And it made my Olympic experience 100 times better. Being able to go home and
Oh,
just be reminded of who I represent and the people that I represent and that I have to stand up for. And it truly changed my whole Olympics experience, just having a different perspective going into it and realizing how grateful I am for this opportunity. And I went back to training camp, and a few days later, got to hold the flag on the boat.
yeah. That was. Uh, I can relate to what you just said, at least to some extent. I guess it could be somehow a gift for you to see the pace of the life there in Palestine, the country you're going to represent in Olympics before the Olympic and your main performance there. So, how is your touches with your Palestinian people? Do you have kind of close connections with some people to get feedbacks from them wherever you are in social media?
Yeah. One thing I have to say is that the group of Palestinian Olympians that were in Paris was a very tight knit group of people. I'm in contact with them so frequently. Some of them daily, some of them weekly, but like Omar and Wasim, they're like my little brothers. Yazin, I spent 2 years with him like frequently. Like it was just us on training camp. Like these people are my family, so it didn't matter the sport. I have a great support system just with the Palestinian athletes. I also have a tremendous support from the Palestinian Olympic Committee. They let me go and train wherever I need to train to be successful. They allow me to go to competitions. I still get to, I say, wear the flag on my cap. That's a huge honor. I still get to compete. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've received so much love too from the Palestinian community in Palestine and Gaza and the West Bank, but from all over the world. Palestinians are
Yes.
displaced all over the world. Um, and yes, of course, I get hate on Instagram. I mean, of course, there's a war going on. There's two sides to every story. Of course, I'm gonna get some negative comments. That's life. But the amount of love and support I get overshines all of that. It was crazy because when I got done with Paris, I flew
Yeah.
back to Auburn, Alabama, and I didn't have a place to live. I was kind of like, for like a good week and a half, 2 weeks, I was kind of just like living in and out of people's houses, like trying to get my feet on the ground, figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And someone messaged me on Instagram, and it was like a nice long
Yeah.
message. It was like, "Hey, my name's Sarah. I live in Auburn. I'm a Palestinian. Like, I would love to meet up with you and get lunch and all the
Oh.
stuff." And I was like, no way, there's a Palestinian in Auburn, Alabama. That was my first thought. And I replied to her and I was like, you're so sweet. Like, of course, I would love to meet up. And she introduced me. There's a very, very small Palestinian community here, and just a Middle Eastern community as well.
Mm.
So I was able to be introduced to that side of my life, which I've never experienced. I've lived here 6 years, and I never even connected with the
Never
Middle
know.
Eastern people here. But I mean, we're small. It'd be hard to find us. But Sarah's one of my best friends now, and just having that love and support and that little bit of like
Good.
home feeling is just it's so nice. Like it really is, and everyone just shows me so much love.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. When you have this kind of circle of your people behind whatever you're doing, uh, you know, is nothing more greater than that. To have all these supports from your, you know, original country.
Right.
Um, do we have Olympic committee in Palestine now?
Yes. We've actually had an Olympic committee since 1995, recognized through the International Olympic Committee. Um, yeah, so we have an Olympic committee.
So even at the middle of the war, uh, they're doing their wonderful jobs.
You know, they're doing as much as they can with what they're given. And I say that because October 7th hit, and I was actually supposed to fly like late October to Abu Dhabi for an Arab Championships. It was supposed to
Hmm.
be huge, and we cut all travel, for rightfully so. Um, but we don't have funding. We have very, very little funding. Our resources are very limited. And the situation is horrible. It's really hard to do your job properly when you don't have the funding and the resources to do it.
Yeah.
That being said, they do a great job with what they're given. Truly, I'm on the phone with our Deputy Secretary General and our Olympic Committee President, I would say weekly, just giving them updates. I'm on the executive board now for the Palestinian Olympic Committee, so I'm helping run things, finding funding opportunities, just a lot of different things going on because yes, I'm an athlete, I'm still a competing athlete, and I'm grateful for that, but my job now is to give back. My job is
Yes.
to create opportunities for the next generation and figure out what we can do because sports is so important to development of children. You don't have to be an Olympian. Go outside and play, and that's just not a reality in
Yeah.
Palestine right now.
Right. Yeah, that's actually what we are doing now, and I and my team in Women Sport Paris just trying to make some space for the women who are living in underprivileged communities, kind of get their voice publicized and conveyed to people across the world. So now I would take a moment to state my sincerest salute to all the Palestinian people while I'm wishing for bright days for them, and that's the least we can do and the least we can wish for them to just have a safe space to live. That's one of the least things we as a human being should stand with and call for it. I wish they're gonna get rid from these horrible and heartbreaking day-to-day bombardments these days. What we are hearing from the Palestinian cities is an absolute uh, definition of cruelty and inhumanity in the world we're living. I don't know where this world is going, but that's not the world we as a human wished for. So that's one thing I wanted to add. And Valerie, you kind of talked a little bit about what I'm gonna ask, but if you have anything else to add, please share with us. How did you head into professionalism in a sport, in swimming, and how did it feel in the earlier years?
Um, well, swimmers, how do I say this? There's not a professional community in swimming. Unless you're an Olympic gold medalist who has set so many records, you're not going to make any money. We have Olympic medalists who make little to no money.
I didn't know that.
Yes. So there's no, like, to be fair, I make zero money off swimming. I lose money. I actually lose money competing for Palestine. And I will never ever complain about that because I absolutely love what I do. I truly could not be more grateful. But yeah, there's no professional, like, people think I'm actually a little crazy for still swimming. It's kind of like move on, get a job, move on, get it. I'm doing my PhD, but I have the opportunity to swim and I love swimming. And I always say that because swimming is a sport that requires far too much dedication and hard work and consistency to be good at and be unhappy. And I think being a college athlete and competing in the U.S. at our universities, like we're set up to be able to compete at a very high level and get our school done, get a degree. Um, but beyond that, most swimmers quit at 22 years old when they're done with university.
Hmm.
I had the opportunity to compete for Palestine. I was only a year and a half out from the Olympics, so that was the ultimate goal. And my coach was fully on board with that, of course. My coach is the crazy one in the world who still loves swimming too. So I was going to retire after the Olympics. And I think it was like this time around last year, and I always said the Olympics would be the last swim meet I ever do, last competition. It was this time last year, and I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do with my life. And I kind of walked into his office and I was like, did you know there's a world championships in December after the Olympics? And he's like, yes. And I was like, you know it's short course meter too? Like it's the 25-meter pool? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, I kind of think it would be fun to do that. And he looks at me and he's like, no one's forcing you to retire. Like, do it. Why not? And that's kind of, I say what like kick started everything is I didn't want to be done. Um, yes, I had the Olympics coming up, and that's the ultimate dream. But I love to do what I do, and I say, do I have any inspiration? I mean, I grew up swimming against and competing against the best swimmers in the world. Um,
Yes.
my roommate in college, she never made Team USA, but she was top 20 in the world at one point. Like, I grew up swimming with, I was 14 years old on deck with Katie Ledecky. I was
Hmm.
swimming at competitions with Michael Phelps because I've been at an elite level since I was very young. And I think that's always what kept me going is I got to see um, the best swimmers and compete with them. I say on a daily basis because I had some great club swimmers, but monthly I would be on deck with the best swimmers in the world swimming against them. And I think that's
Yeah.
always what kept me going is I strived for more. I still strive for more. I
Hmm.
know I haven't reached my fullest potential at 25, which is unusual for swimming, but I'm
You're
always
right.
hungry for more. I'm always hungry for more, and I don't think I'm ever satisfied, which is, I guess, a good trait.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good trait. Uh, at least for someone like you, you know, it is as it should be. Because you're not alone now. You're already represented a big community, a community who are uh, eyeing on you and watching your voice, and maybe you will be the only happiness uh, they can be proud of and they can cheer for. Not you. I mean, I'm saying you, but you and your fellows and your uh, other Palestinian athletes. So that's what sets you apart from other athletes, and that's what give you this kind of hungry and fast forwarding motivation to reach your goals. What was your feelings when you, for the first time, received Palestinian invitation formally to compete for them?
Yeah, I can tell you the exact moment because
Oh,
it
how good.
it had been very no, it had been a very long journey to be able to compete for Palestine. Um, Initially, when I sent emails trying to get in contact with the right people, I wasn't getting any responses. So it took a good, I would say, year or two to even get a response from anyone.
Sorry, may
And
I ask you if it was something you you yourself kick-started and approached?
Yeah, for
Mm.
sure. I say this in a light sense, but my dad had been, I say my manager. We always called him my manager growing up because he had everything planned to a T. But my dad had kind of like, I don't want to say like taken a step back, but he's taken a step back in the sense that he was kind of like, all right, like you're wrapping up your swim career. Like I've already invested a lot in you. You have a degree. Um, so like you don't need to swim anymore. And of course, the Olympics were a dream of mine, but representing Palestine is not easy to do because how are
Yes.
you, and I say this in terms of the view of the world, not my views, but how do you represent a country that's not recognized as a country, and how are you a citizen of a country
Mm.
that's not a
Yeah.
country, right? Of
You're
course, I
right.
don't
Yeah.
believe that, but it's complicated, right? Especially
Correct.
because my
Mm.
grandfather passed away so long ago, and proving that I was Palestinian, and you know our land in Gaza. Like my dad hadn't been back to Gaza since he was 10 years old.
Oh.
Um, so yeah, I mean it's like I said, it's a crazy situation and it's always difficult. But very long story short, two things happened. One, my coach at Auburn swam at the University of Alabama with the now national team head coach for Jordan. And my
Mm.
coach was like, don't worry, Val. If you're not getting responses, there's a world championships coming up. I'll go find the Jordanian team and tell them to introduce me to the Palestinian team.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, like, good luck with that. Well, that connection worked. That connection worked. So that's how we got in contact with the swimming federation. But I still didn't hear anything. Um, I posted on Instagram when I was done competing for my university. That was in like December, November, December. Then you moved to March of 2023, and I finished competing for my university. Should have I should have been done swimming, right? And I posted a picture on Instagram, and it's still up there, and it says that's a wrap, meaning that's done. And then I said, well, maybe not, and I put the Palestinian flag because it was
Oh.
always like the goal, the aspiration to continue swimming representing
Yes.
Palestine. Well, the other Palestinian swimmer, Yazin, was following me on
Mm.
Instagram and slid into my DMs. It was like, wait a second, you're Palestinian. And I was like, yeah. And then he was like, why aren't you competing for us? And I was like, I'm trying. No one's responding. And he's like, no, 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 no. You need to get in contact with this person.
Mm.
He's like, call them right now. I'm going to send you their number. They know you're going to call. I called, and actually, it's funny enough. It was Nader Jayusi, who's the technical director at the time, who's like he's like a father to me. I talk to
Oh.
him
Mm.
frequently, and I was on the phone with him, and he's like, "Hey, girl, what's up? And how you doing? Like, what's going on? Like, you want to swim for us?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Okay, okay. Explain to me. How are you Palestinian?" And I explained my grandfather, and then he's like, oh, your numbers. How are your numbers looking?" Meaning my times. I was like, no, like my times are good. And I was like, respectfully, they would be the fastest times in the country um, for Palestine. And I kind of explained that to him, and he goes, okay, okay. Send me your numbers. Send me your numbers. We'll be in touch. And I was like, well, this is never going to happen. Like, you know. Um, so fast forward, all of April passes. Um, I am on a plane to Hawaii with my mom and dad, and
Mm.
I'm about to take
Yes.
off. I'm meeting my parents there. I'm about to take off, and
Yeah.
I was checking my email, and I got an email saying, "Congratulations, you'll be representing Palestine in the Arab Championships, the Asian Games,
Oh.
and at World Championships this summer." And
Mm.
I'd been messing around all spring in the pool, maybe 3, 4 times a week at most. Kind of just enjoying my last few days of college, like nothing insane, right? I got that email, and I had 6 weeks till the Arab Games, and I was going on holiday.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my gosh, there's no way. And I get on the phone with my coach. I was like, listen, I'm on the runway. I'm about to take off, but you need to read this email. I'm representing Palestine. And he's like, oh my gosh, no way. He's like, no problem. Call me when you land. So I had a 9-hour flight to Hawaii, and I had to just sit there in my own happiness.
Oh.
I had to just sit there and be all excited by myself. And I was like, I don't even know what to do. Like, so that was a really cool moment. And I ended up training on that vacation, which I normally do. And I do normally train on vacation, but I was focused and came back. My coach and I had a plan, and I obviously had a really great air championships. It all worked out for the best. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's my
you
story.
that's completely funny and kind of unplanned and unexpected journey. You got to get all these heartfelt and heartwarming invitations from the Palestinian uh, Olympic Committee. Yeah, was it from
Yeah,
them?
yeah.
So that was good, but not as good as you have to be sitting in a plane very close to sky and don't know how to
Right.
express your happiness. So
Yeah.
you've just mentioned briefly that the swimming field is for youngsters, and they got into the championships from the very young age compared to other sports we see. What I'm asking you is from the talent development process perspectives. What was missed in or lacked in your journey to get recognition from Palestinian committee sooner, earlier?
Yeah, I mean, part of it was, I say, lack of knowledge. It was a lack of knowledge on both ends. Um, they didn't know I existed, right? So how can
Hmm.
you recruit someone when you don't know they exist? But it also is a lack
Yes.
of communication because my emails were not replied to. Um, but there's a language barrier.
Sorry,
I don't
Valerie.
speak
May I
Arabic.
ask you when did you send the first email to them?
Oh gosh, I don't know. It was 2022 for sure.
Hmm.
I think maybe even sooner than that. But I wasn't even sure I was emailing the right people. And I think that was the thing is
Yeah.
it was a lack
Right.
of it was a lack of everything. We didn't know who to email, we didn't know who to get in contact with. I don't speak Arabic. My dad doesn't speak Arabic. Um so there was that. And it was just
Yeah.
getting in contact with the right people and then proving you're Palestinian. My last name gives it away, but at the same time you still have to prove it, right? People don't just give out, passports
Yeah.
just to give out passports. So that had to be done too.
Yeah. That actually is. So I hope for the next generation of Palestinian athletes, youngsters, they're not gonna be such problems, and they might have find their links uh, at the right time or better time.
For sure. And the other thing is, I've had a lot of people reach out to me now, too, being Palestinian Americans or Palestinians living all over the world. Like, who do I reach out to? And I
Hmm.
put them in contact with the right people. Um, and
So
I mean,
that's
there's
another
there's
mission you're
right,
wonderfully doing.
for sure. And I think that's so important, especially now as an executive board member of the Olympic Committee. Like, my goal is to make Palestine sports as great as possible. And it's not our fault as Palestinians that we can't live there.
Yeah, how
Um,
incredible.
Yeah. So when I have people reach out, I always put them in contact with the right people. Ultimately, it's not necessarily the Olympic Committee that has the final say on some things. A lot of the time, it's the federation. So it could be the swimming federation, the athletics federation, the karate federation, so on. But I was just in Dubai last week, and I did a swim camp, and there was this girl, Alma. Alma reached out to me like 2 years ago to represent Palestine, and I got her in contact with the right people. She is representing our junior team right now, and I got to meet her in Dubai last week. So that was like such a cool
wonderful.
moment to realize. Yeah, it's such a cool moment to realize that like I helped her on her journey, and I hope that she's the next generation of athletes. She's the next generation of swimmers for Palestine,
Yeah,
and of
for
course,
sure.
like I want to help build that. So it's always my goal.
Yeah, that's incredible to pave the way for others, and you have your own experiences in such a journeys. So when you're reaching other people similar to you, and kind of backing them, supporting them through this journey, that's wonderful, and the result and the finding would be far much more brighter than when all these are lacked. So thank you, Valerie. uh, may I have your overall perspective on the place of women's sport in Middle East?
Yeah. So one of the other things that I do is I am actually on the executive board for the Olympic Council of Asia, and I chair the Gender
Yeah.
Equity Committee. So one of the super cool things that I do is I overlook the entire continent of Asia for gender equity. I just hosted the event in Brunei 2 weeks ago now, and we had 41
Okay.
different countries out of 45 show up.
Mm-hmm.
And our goal is to create more opportunities for women in sport, because in general, the opportunities aren't there. The IOC, International Olympic Committee, wants 30% representation across everything. They want at least 30% representation on executive boards, coaches, official, admin. Obviously, they're shooting for 50-50
Yeah.
on athletes. But we don't want to just put women in a position to put them in a position. The
Yeah.
worst thing you can do is set up a woman to fail and put them. You can't just, respectfully, like, you can't just put me as the head coach of a national team and expect it to be successful.
Yeah. Right.
And it's
You need
that's not
foundation,
fair to
you
the
mean?
athlete. Right. So what we're really working on in Asia right now is creating those opportunities for women, creating leadership seminars. The other thing is getting male buy-in. That is a huge thing, is how do you have male allies in sports? So Prince Faisal of Jordan, he is actually the biggest advocate for women in sports in Asia. He's works with the International Olympic Committee on it, and he's the biggest person pushing right now. How do we create opportunities? How do we empower women to move up in the world? And I think that's huge, especially as a Middle Eastern man with power, is to have someone advocating for us, because at the end of the day, if the strong people in power don't buy into why having women in sports across all areas, if they don't have the buy-in to why that's important, then it's not going to happen. So that's kind of what we're looking at. As athletes, obviously, we're on an upward trend. That's the great news about Asia, is we represent 60% of the world population on one continent. We are, on paper, I say, the worst in gender equity, but we
Yeah.
have the most room for improvement. And we have only seen upward trends if you look from Rio to Tokyo to Paris, because we look at everything in 4-year increments and quads.
Yeah.
we only see upward trends, and exponentially it's happening. Again, we just want to put qualified women in positions, and that's kind of where we're at in Asia right now.
Yeah, you're right. But the matter is not releasing them after assigning them into the different positions. You have to follow, and as a coach, as a manager, we have to follow them, follow our girls, what they are doing. So thank you, Valerie, for uh, all these incredible works you you're on a way to do. What about the next Olympic? Are you gonna participate? And do you have plans?
So that's the goal. Obviously, that is the goal. I want to compete in the next Olympics, but I always say I take it season by season. Right now, I'm focused on Singapore World Championships. That's at the end of July. Then I have there's an Arab Games at the end of August, and then there's an Islamic Games at the end of November. So that's what I'm looking towards. I take it a season at a time because, 4 years is a long time. Um, yes,
Yes.
the goal, in short, the goal is LA, absolutely. But I'm only gonna swim for as long as it's fun, and right now I'm having the most fun I ever have. So I look to LA. That's the goal. But a lot of things change. 4 years ago, I was in a completely different position than I am today.
Yes, you're right. Are all these competitions you're heading to a qualification for Olympic?
No, so they are qualifications in the sense that there are competitions that are like World Aquatic approved, and they count as official times, which is super important in your world rankings. But until you're, I believe it's 18 months out from the Olympics, you can't qualify. So
Hmm.
what would that put? That would be 28, so that would be the summer of 26, the fall of 26, something like that. Or early 2027. But there's normally a world championships to, like I say, kick off the qualifying period, and then you have 18 months, and it's whoever has the highest world ranking in the country, it gets to go.
Hmm. That's that's how it goes. So,
Yeah.
uh, if there are some people, coaches or teammates, made the most significant impact on your career, who they are?
Um, Gosh, I've had countless coaches, so I would say every coach along the way has had a huge impact. So I never want to discredit any coach that I've had because I've had some outstanding
Hmm.
coaches.
Yeah, I
Um,
understand.
but it's the coach I have now is the reason I'm still swimming. I Vlad is I love him with all my heart. He has been there for me every step of the way. I say he adopted me because when I came into university, I committed with a different coaching staff. I had different coaches, and my senior year and fifth year at Auburn, I was lucky enough to swim under him. I didn't sign up for him, and he was, I say, given to me. And I say I have the best coaching staff in the world here at Auburn because when you look on paper, you have to look at what works for you. And I have a coach that sees me as a person, that's willing to be flexible with me, that communicates openly with me,
That's really
understands how
key.
much I. Yes, communication is the biggest key to everything. But he looks at me as a person and just is flexible and also realizes how much I love swimming and how much I'm willing to put into it. And we have this conversation, I mean, weekly, monthly, where we're going. What's the goal? What are we doing? And I just he makes it so much fun for me. He really does. And he helped me re-fall in love with the sport when things weren't going great in my career, and I didn't quite want to do it anymore. And he helped me re-fall in love and have huge success. And I'm forever grateful for that. He really is the best coach, and I say the best coach in the world for me. Everyone has a different style, but he's the best coach for me for sure.
Yeah, that's actually a right definition of and the right traits of every coach who is working in elite sport have to go with. And but unfortunately, what we are seeing, like you said, seeing me as not as an athlete, as a human, as a person first, uh, is really what uh, many athletes are in problems with in today's world, when the coaches are under the highest pressure to win and to grasp the medals. So all these good traits kind of going to be sacrificed. So that's good to have this man in your life as a coach. Uh,
For sure.
Valerie, is there anything you feel a need as a champion to change in the rules of women's sports in the Middle East or even in USA? If there is one thing you wanted to
Um,
change.
I think, gosh, that's hard. There's so many things we can change. But I think one thing that's super important is you have to have it. I just used this analogy the other day. Women, when we come together and we decide we want to do something, completely unstoppable.
Hmm.
Um, it's quite amazing. I've seen the years I swam at Auburn that we were most successful. We might not have got along personally, but we all had the same goal and we were working towards it. We respected each other and we had successful seasons. When we were on different pages and
Right.
in it for ourselves and different reasons, those are the reasons that we weren't successful. You can use that analogy in all aspects of sports. As women, we have to bring each other up. There shouldn't be a jealousy of, well, this person got this position or this
Yeah.
person is doing well and I'm not. You have to empower each other. And I think that's super hard is we have we have super great women that like to tear each other down. And I think that's not always the case by any means, but I think it starts um, empowering one another. And
Wow.
of course, like I said, I already said this, but we have to have the male buy in too. Like, you have to have the men in power buy into why having women in sports is important. And that's a very basic thing.
Yeah, actually, that's exactly is. Valerie, one of the most highlighted and alive issues in the Middle East, in the Middle Eastern countries, is their policies, in which uh, no women have the rights to participate in swimming, international swimming competitions. This is what we see in our country. Uh, it is like our younger girls start swimming with no end, with no dream of competition, no horizon, and eventually no role models can be created. So you you have touched all the benefits of swim from early age and brought honor to your country many times. Do you have any special words to these rule makers in the Middle East as a whole?
You know, it's been kind of crazy because there's a very typical Middle Eastern stereotype, right? Women don't have rights. They can't do this. They can't do this. We've seen that across the board, and I'm not saying it doesn't exist. It absolutely does. There is a huge barrier.
Yep.
I also have seen, especially in the last like 10 years, a culture shift. They are trying, and there absolutely can be 100 times more effort put into it. But I mean, just think Saudi Arabia had their first ever female swimmer compete at the Olympics. That's huge.
Yes.
Um,
Correct.
and there are people like that paving the way. And like I said, I have faith in humanity that we are moving the right direction. We really are trying to set a new standard, a new boundary, um, which is cool. We have a lot of work to do and a lot more that can be done, but I always say that sport has given me more than I could ever ask for. Um, it's given
Right.
me tools, foundation, skills that if I were to quit everything to do with sports
Except for
today and I
money.
were to go except for money, except for money. But if I were to quit everything to do with sports today and move on and go get a corporate America job and live in an office, I could use every single skill that I learned in swimming to translate to be successful in other areas of my life. And then it's created more opportunities for me. I mean, the positions I'm in today, I could have never dreamed of.
Yeah,
Give that give that
absolutely right.
opportunity to your daughter, to your sister. Like give those opportunities and pave the way for their future. I think that's what I encourage people to do.
That's a wonderful remark from Valerie Tarazi. Have you ever taught or maybe done swimming with your hands and feet tied?
um, Funny enough, not at the same time, but we train with a band around our ankles.
Oh, yeah.
So when you train with a band around your ankles, your legs will sink. Like there's no doubt in the world your legs sink. So that is interesting. But I've never tied my hands and legs and like here figure it out.
Yeah. I hope you're not gonna experience, otherwise you want to try it for fun. Uh, it may be unlikely realistically, but one of our movies, Iranian movies, uh, you know, has hit this theme, and the first role actor done it in the memorable scenes of an resistance against all the unfair and inhuman rules. The name of the movie is Orca, and like I said, the first role actor role played a girl who went to set a Guinness endurance swimming record, but the rules here are the main barriers for a girl and for her desires. The name of the actor was Taraneh Ali Dusti, who gave to the world an incredible ending sequence when she finally did it in the sea. She was arrested with her hands and feet tied and handcuffed. So I would recommend watching this movie to anyone who want to kind of defy any long-rooted discrimination and harmful social beliefs. So, do you like to comment on this?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I truly believe you can do whatever you put your mind to. Um, and whether that's breaking a social norm or, um, setting a goal and achieving it, but you have to truly believe you can do it. And I think that's kind of the purpose of the movie, is to show that. Um, but yeah, it takes dedication and commitment. Whatever you're gonna do is gonna be hard work.
Yeah, the main problem with that girl Orca was the dress code, and we have special guidelines for the dress code
Right.
of women here, and not only in the swimming or in pools, but also in the public places. These are some kind of guidelines our women have to follow. Valerie, it's all finished. I I know that you would be happy to hear this from me at
No,
this
no,
time.
no.
And I'm so sorry for taking this meeting that much long and kind of with slow pace speaking. I've got through today. So thank you again for considering our works on women sport press. I would love to end this interview with any you know inspirational advice you may wish to give younger girls, or any memorable uh, moments you feel interesting to share with the world.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, and I'm really grateful that we got this to work. I know we've been trying to do this for a while, and my schedule's a little crazy, so I'm always grateful for the opportunity to, one, speak on behalf of Palestine, but two, share my story and the story of my friends and family. I always take that opportunity, and I think that's important. I think I'll leave you with a little story. Um, while I was in Palestine shooting the swimming documentary, they brought me to a gym, and they wanted me to, it was supposed to be just like working out, just lifting weights, and it wasn't anything serious. Like, it truly was just, it was for a film. Like, I wasn't actually doing a workout, and they
Yeah,
had someone there, and it was a male coach. And long story short is, he was like supposed to be coaching me, right? And he was like, okay, I want you to do like overhead press, right? Like, with the dumbbells. So I go up to the rack and I grab, I don't know, like maybe, I want to say there were like 25, maybe 20 kilo dumbbells, like nothing super heavy for me. And I sit there and I put them on my legs. And he looks at me and
yeah.
goes, those are too heavy for you. And I like kind of laughed at him. And I looked at him and I like repped out 10. And he's like, oh no, like that wasn't the right technique. And I kind of laughed at him. I was like, whatever. So I put him down, and then he's like, okay, what else do you want to do? And I was like, oh, I can do some pull ups. And he's like, are you sure? And I was kind of like, yeah, I'm
Oh,
sure. Like, yeah, I can do pull ups. And he was like, okay. And I did pull ups, and everyone filming the documentary was like, oh, wow, like that's pretty impressive. That being said, again, we went to another station, and I started doing squats, and I threw 20 kilos on each side of the bar. And that's not even what I
yeah,
warm up with. Again, we are just filming a documentary. This is just for show.
yeah.
And he looks at me, he's like, that's
But
too
it
heavy. Like, you're going to
exists.
hurt. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like,
in real life.
yeah. He's like, that's too heavy. Like, you're gonna hurt yourself. And I looked at him and I laughed at him, and I was like, I'm never disrespectful, especially when I'm in Palestine. I do realize the culture is different. So I kind of just, left it at that. And my point with the story is, I'm an Olympic swimmer. I've been
Yeah,
lifting weights since I was 14 years old. I've had some of the best coaches in the world. I'm going to the Olympics, and I still have men telling me that I can't do something.
Oh, how bad?
When you have men at a young age, if I was a 14-year-old girl growing up in Palestine, having someone tell me that I can't do something, I'm going to probably believe them. My encouragement is, do not believe them. Because I laughed at this guy. Don't have anyone tell you that you can't do something, because that's not the case. You have to believe in yourself, and if you want to pick up those heavy dumbbells, pick up the heavy dumbbells, and don't let someone tell you can't do it. So that's my little words of encouragement at the end of this podcast, is you can do whatever you set your mind to.
Yeah, you've raised such an important issue. These are the things we've seen a lot in our culture as well, in our country. I don't know what it's like in USA. Is it the same still in a country like USA?
I would say far less. Like, of course you do get that. There's always the cases, but no, like that doesn't. I haven't had a coach. I truly been blessed with amazing coaches that have always uplifted me. But I really was shocked when I went to Palestine and that happened. And, I'm a strong, very loud, outgoing person. And I just laughed at him. And I'm sure he didn't love that. But, at the same time, I never want that to happen to another girl.
That's bad. And, even much more than bad, because when you're going with such expressions and giving such baseless feedbacks to youngsters, a girl has nothing of your background, has nothing of your experience to deal with such situations, and she's gonna get accept all these feedbacks. We might have changed someone's life to the whole of darkness with such views. So thanks so much again for joining our program. I wish you all the bright days on your way. I'm saying on behalf of many people, I'm sure, please keep shining and keep working on your wonderful projects in academics and your elite sports.
Thank you.
Leve Palestina och krossa sionismen. Leve Palestina och krossa sionismen. Leve, leve, leve Palestina. Leve, leve, leve Palestina. Leve Palestina och krossa sionismen. Leve Palestina och krossa sionismen. Och vi har odlat jorden. Och vi har odlat jorden. Och vi har skördat vetet. Och vi har skördat vetet. Vi har plockat citronerna. Och vi har plockat citronerna. Och pressat oliverna. Och pressat oliverna. Och hela världen känner till vår jord. Och hela världen känner till vår jord. Leve, leve, leve Palestina. Leve, leve, leve Palestina. Leve Palestina och krossa sionismen. Leve Palestina och krossa sionismen. Och vi har kastat stenar på. Och vi har kastat stenar på. Soldater och poliser. Soldater och poliser. Och vi har skjutit raketer. Och vi har skjutit raketer. Mot våra fiender. Mot våra fiender. Och hela världen känner till vår kamp. Och hela världen känner till vår kamp. Leve, leve,
vårt land.
Till socialismen.
Till socialismen.
Och hela världen kommer att bevittna.
Och hela världen kommer att bevittna. Leve, leve, leve Palestina. Leve, leve, leve Palestina. Leve Palestina och krossa sionismen. 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 Leve Palestina och krossa sionismen.
Leve Palestina och krossa sionismen.
Leve Palestina och krossa sionismen. Leve, leve, leve Palestina. Leve, leve, leve Palestina. Leve Palestina och krossa sionismen.